and then you go for isobaric heating, right? You could have also taken up this particular path where initially you go for isobaric heating, and then you go for isothermal compression, isn't it? These were the two paths, and in this case I would just like to mention that whatever process you have, no matter from whatever initial to whatever final state you would be going, for every step, every particular process, it can be broken down into a series of isothermal processes and isobaric processes. All particular processes can be broken down into a series of isothermal isobaric processes, and accordingly along the isothermal and along the isobaric processes, the change in property can be evaluated, and from there the total change in property can be evaluated. Now, as you all know that property, they are state function, so they just depend upon the initial state and the final state. It does not depend upon the path that you take. So therefore it would not have mattered if you would have taken this particular path, or if you would have taken this particular path, but instead of choosing these straightforward paths, why did you have to go down, and then you had to make this particular your isobaric heating at a very low pressure, and then there was a isothermal compression from, say, almost P equals to 0 to P equals to P2. Can you tell me that instead of these particular straightforward paths, why did Professor Kaushal select such a roundabout path in affecting the change from state 1 to state 2? Yes, anybody?
Ma'am, for the low pressure, like we can approximate a real gas by an ideal gas. So for that,
Perfect. Perfect. At low pressure, all real gases, they behave like an ideal gas. So therefore, what happens, you tell me? Why did you want to approach this ideal gas state?
because the state equation is very easy for the ideal gas. We know everything about that.
But tell me one thing, you have just performed the isobaric heating at the low temperature. Sorry, at the low pressure. You did not do anything else, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So the actual thing is you are almost correct. The fact is that data on specific heat capacity, it is available only for ideal gases at very low pressure, right? So therefore for ideal gas state, we are going to denote all the properties with a superscript of 0, just like Professor Kaushal has done. So therefore, if enthalpy is denoted by H, ideal gas enthalpy will be denoted by H0. Now, at the beginning of this particular session of thermodynamics, there are certain things which I would like to mention. It will be good if you follow those instructions. First thing is that all total properties, for extensive properties, all total properties will be denoted by capital letters, and all molar properties will be denoted by small letters. Keep this in mind because you'll be coming across a host of different properties and a host of different types of properties: total properties, molar properties, partial molar properties, residual properties. So therefore, if you are not extremely careful about the notations, you might get confused. So therefore, I'll also be following it. In case I forget anytime, you are going to point it out to me. And please also make it a habit that for extensive properties, all total properties will be denoted by capital letters, and all molar properties will be denoted by small letters. So when I write small h, it means molar enthalpy. When I denote it with a capital H, it means the total enthalpy, right? So therefore, the CP0, and but for pressure and temperature, the intensive variables, you can use whatever it is, it does not matter. Okay, so therefore, in order to find out DH0, or in fact, in order to find out dH also, how do you find out dH? dH you can find it out as integral, Cp dt. Right. Now, this particular data on Cp that is usually available, whatever data you have anywhere, they are all available for the ideal gas state at very low pressures. So therefore, we have data on Cp0, but how Cp varies with pressure, because at higher pressure, the gases start behaving like real gases. So if you have to know the data of Cp at high pressure, in that particular case, you need to know how Cp varies with pressure at a constant temperature. Now, this is not very easy to get for different gases. So therefore, most of the time what we have is we have the data at low pressures, or for under conditions where the gas behaves ideally, and therefore in order to use this particular CP0 data, just for that, he performed the isobaric heating at P equals to 0 where the gas behaves ideally, and the isothermal compressions and expansions, they were performed such that the gas is brought from its original state to the ideal gas state, and then the change was effected under the ideal gas state from P1 T1 to P2 T2, and after that the gas was then compressed from P equals to 0 to P equals to P2. So in reality, what we did in this particular case was that if I, yeah, so what we did in this particular case was that actually we had some some real gas, right? This real gas was at T1 P1. Okay, so what we did, we brought this real gas to the ideal gas state that was at T1 and P equals to 0. And then what we did, we took this ideal gas from T1 P equals to 0 to say T2 at P equals to 0. And then this particular ideal gas, we took it to the real gas state at T2 and P2. This was the exact thing that we did here. Okay, accordingly, for this particular state, what did you have? For this particular state, we can write down, if this is say state 1, this is state 2, this is state 3, and this is state 4, right? So for this particular state 1, what do we have? We can write it down here. We have just changed the pressure. The temperature remains constant. So therefore, we know dH, it can be represented by Cp dt to denote the change of temperature, plus V minus T del V del T at constant P dP, which denotes the change of H with pressure. So from here to here, when we went, then in that case, this particular this particular property was not there. So for this particular state, dH from state 1, says from state 1 to state 2, which gives you H2 minus H1, this is equal to this. Now from state 3 to state 2, from state 2 to state 3, if we see, then in that case, what is dH equals to? This is from state 2 to state 3, which is equals to H3 minus H2. Now here what we did, we went from P equals to 0 to P equals to 0, from T1 to T2. Therefore, this is given as Cp0 dt. Now this Cp0, this has to be from T1, it has to be to T2. So if Cp0 is a constant, then you can simply take it out and you can integrate this, which is nothing but equal to Cp0 into T2 minus T1. It can always happen that Cp0, it is a function of temperature. In that particular case, I'll just redraw it once more, the thing which I had drawn just for your convenience. So this was real gas T1 P1 we go to ideal gas T1 P equals to 0, then to ideal gas T2 P equals to 0, then we go to the real gas which is T2 and P2. Right. So therefore, for this we found out this is state 1, this is state 2, this is state 3, and this is state 4. So therefore, H2 minus H1, I had already written it down. It was V minus T del V del T at con. In case you have any problems anywhere, you can, because I cannot see your raising of hand. So therefore, you simply, this is from P1 to P equals to 0. Right. You just interrupt me and then I'll repeat. So this is H3 minus H2, just the way we were telling. This is in CP0 dt integral T1 to T2. If the CP0 is constant, then we get CP0 into T2 minus T1. There will be conditions where the CP0 is a function of temperature. This function is very well known. You must have come across it, A plus BT plus CT square plus so on and so forth. So if CP0 is a constant, then this is the thing that you can use. If it is not a constant, then this is used. A, B, C, etc. They are very well known for different real gases. And again, from state 3 to state 4, if you go, H4 minus H3, if you are going, then in that case, this is again you get that from state 3 it is P equals to 0 to P2, V minus T del V del T at constant P dP. So therefore, in all, so therefore, when you have got from state 4 to state 1, if you add the different things, then in that case, what do you get? You get, on adding these particular different things, then you get your H4 minus H1. If you see in the previous slide, if you see, so this will be this plus this plus this. So therefore, adding up, then what do we get? We get, this is P equals to P1 to P equals to 0, V minus T del V del T at constant P dP plus integral T1 to Tp Cp0 dt plus integral P equals to 0 to Pt V minus T del V del T at constant P dP, isn't it? So therefore, this is what we are going to get. So therefore, we find that from H4 to H1, in this particular equation, if you find that the two variables which are associated with dP, they are simply functions of the PVT behavior of the gases. So if you know the PVT behavior of the gases, you are in a position to find these two. And in order to find this particular term, you had to come to the ideal gas state, right? So therefore, now if you see this particular equation, you find that this particular term and this particular term, they have come just because the gas was real. Can you tell me, for an ideal gas, what is this particular term equals to? For an ideal gas, this particular term DH0, can you tell me what is this term for an ideal gas? Yes, please. For an ideal gas, dH0, or rather del H0 del P at constant T. This is what this is, isn't it? For an ideal gas, can you tell me what is del H0 del P at constant T?
0.
Very correct. So you have already done it before the midterms, isn't it? This
Yes,
was,
ma'am.
yes, very good. So therefore, we know that this term for an ideal gas, that is equal to 0. So therefore, this is the only contribution. So therefore, if instead of DH we have DH0, if we go from T1 P1 to T2 P2, say from state 1 to state 2, then in that case it is simply T1 to T2 CP0 dt. Right? We do not have this particular term. So therefore, if you observe this particular term, this term is nothing but this was from state 1 to state 2. If you go, this was H20 minus H10. Basically, this was this term, right? So therefore, if you are going in this particular state, if you are going from this state to this state, and we find that that it consists of three particular terms, so therefore we can also write this down as, suppose you, for instead of this four paths, see initially I had done it for the four paths, isn't it? This was the real gas T1 P1. I took it to the ideal gas at T1 P equals to 0, and then again I took it to the ideal gas state T2 P equals to 0, and then to the real gas state at T2 P2, right? So therefore here, if you see, if you observe, this particular thing can be written down as H20 minus H10. So therefore here I had denoted this by the different state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4, right? So therefore in this particular situation, if I denote this in this particular ways, then I find that I can always write down H2 minus H1. This is equals to integral P equals to P1 to P equals to 0. V minus T del V del T at constant P dP plus integral P equals to 0 to P2 V minus T del V del T at constant P dP plus H20 minus H10. Tell me yes or no. If I just hear one voice, I would like to hear from the others. And this is what was Professor Kaushal's last problem, the problem number 5. So therefore, from here, what do we find? We find that H2 minus, in fact, I have solved the last problem for you, minus H1 minus H10. This is equal to this term plus this term, which automatically implies that H H2 minus H20 is nothing but integral P equals to 0 to P2 V minus T del V del T at constant P dP, and H1 minus H10, if you find here, this was minus. So therefore, if I just invert the limits, it comes integral P equals to 0 to P1 V minus T del V del T at constant P dP. So therefore, what do I find here? That means, it means that for any particular state, the change of property in going from the real gas to the ideal gas state is given by this particular equation, where the property concerned I have taken up is the enthalpy. So therefore, the change of enthalpy, if at any particular state, say H minus H0, at a particular state, any particular temperature and pressure, that is given as P equals to 0 to that particular pressure into V minus T del V del T at constant P dP. which can be broken up as VdP minus T del V del T at constant P dP. I can do it, right? So therefore, from here I find, as far as enthalpy is concerned, I find that if I want to find out the change of enthalpy from any particular state 1 to any particular state 2, basically I need to have some particular idea regarding the Cp values for the ideal gas equation. The rest of the things, what I need is, I simply need the change of the enthalpy when it was going from the real gas state to the ideal gas state at that particular condition of temperature and pressure. And this particular property, which is the difference between the real gas property and the ideal gas property, this is known as a residual property. For example, this is residual enthalpy, or it's also known as a departure enthalpy function. This is known as a residual property or a departure property, and this is denoted as delta H star. Is this part clear to you? So therefore, instead of what I was drawing, the path that I devise now is that I take a real gas and I convert it from T1 P1 state to the ideal gas at the same state, and then the ideal gas, I perform the change of state that I want. Here I've shown the change of state in two parts. In one part, we go from T1 P1 to T1 P2. So therefore, for this particular case, your delta H0 is basically 0. Then ideal gas I take from here to here, where this is delta H2, this is delta H3, the process. This is equal to Cp0 dt integral. And this particular state, if you find, I'm converting from the ideal gas to the real gas state at the same T2P2. That means the change of property is basically delta H2 star, which is nothing but H2 minus H20, where 2 refers to the state at T2P2. And initially, I am going from the real gas to the ideal gas state. So therefore, this is basically minus delta H1 star, which is nothing but equal to H10 minus H1. Both of them are at T1 P1. Here, both of them were at T2 P2. So therefore, we find that for evaluating the enthalpy change from any particular state, basically what we need, basically other than the ideal gas data, we just need data on the departure function or the residual properties. This was the discussion which I performed for your enthalpy. Same thing we can do for entropy as well. In the entropy also, suppose you would like to find the entropy, say S2 minus S1. Note that whatever I am writing, I am using molar properties. In this particular case, it does not matter. If I would have used the total properties, just everything would have been capital. And whatever I've denoted with all those particular parameters, a number of moles of the real gas would have come. Just to avoid those, I am expressing everything in terms of molar properties. Same thing if I would have tried to find out S2 minus S1, then in this particular case, it would have been minus delta S1 star. This is at T1 P1 plus delta S0, which is in going from T1 P1 to T2 P2 plus delta S star at T2 P2. Right. So therefore, for same thing I could have defined for any other extensive property, be it Gibbs free energy, whatever it is, I could have defined it in the same particular way. Say, for example, if I want to perform this particular thing and I would like to find out the departure functions for entropy. departure functions for enthalpy I have already defined. This is the departure function for entropy. Now, can you tell me how do you proceed to find out the departure function for enthalpy? Sorry, entropy. Now, for finding out the departure function for entropy, we would naturally try to use this particular equation. For enthalpy, we had this equation. So suppose we use this particular equation, then in that case, what do we have? We have ds, this is equals to Cp by T dt minus T del V del T at constant P dp, isn't it? So therefore, can you tell me from here what is ds0 equals to? Suppose I would like to go from this particular state to this particular state. When I was calculating enthalpy, then I found out that from P1 to P2, delta H20 was equal to 0. Can you tell me what is delta S20? Is it also equal to 0 or does it have a value? Can you tell me? Just look at this particular equation, evaluate this and tell me that what will be the value of delta S0 in going from T1 P1 to T1 P2. Yes, anybody?
1 minute, ma'am.
Yes, please do it. But I hear only one voice. That is what I'm not liking. I just hear only one voice. Do it and tell me.
It is, ma'am, NCP ln T2 by T1 minus NR ln P1 by P2.
1 minute. See, n we are not going to consider because we are doing just the molar properties. Okay, just
Yes.
to avoid this n part, we have been doing it. So therefore, if you can tell me just S20 minus S10, I would request everybody to participate, please. That will be very good. This is Cp0 by T dt, right? And then minus, what have you got? Integral. Is it R by P dp? Just check it up.
Yes, ma'am. R by P.
I want other voices, please. I want other voices, please. Sanskar Singh, Nidhi Raj, Devesh Govind. I would request the TAs to note down
Yes,
the
ma'am.
persons. Fine. So could you do? Are you Nidhi Raj?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So could you find out the change of entropy when we were going from T1 P1 to T2 P2, the change of entropy for 1 mole of ideal gas? Could you derive this particular equation? Yes
Okay,
or
ma'am.
no?
Yes, ma'am.
But anybody who has any doubts regarding this particular equation? It is simply I find out del V del T at constant P for an ideal gas and then I substitute, right? So I think none of you will be having problems in this. And if I do it for a real gas, what do I get? I simply get as S2 minus S1. This is equal to, for a real gas, what do I get? I get integral P1 equals to, P equals to 0 to P1 minus del V del T at constant P dp plus integral Cp0 by T dt T1 to T2, again minus integral P equals to 0 to P2 del V del T at constant P dP. Right. So therefore now if I subtract one from the other, then in that case what do I get? I get, I'll just delete this part. Mhm. Yeah. So therefore if so from here what do I get? S2 minus S20 minus S1 minus S10. This is basically what? This is integral P1, sorry, P equals to 0 to P2 minus del V del T at constant P dP and minus of, sorry, very sorry, wait. Minus R by P dP, and along with that you get, wait, I'll just take out this minus from here. Yeah. So it is going to be minus of this and then minus of integral P equals to 0 to P1, again del V del T at constant P dP minus R by P into dP. Right? So from there, what do I get? From there I get, so from there I can always write down then that S minus S0, which is nothing but delta S star at any particular temperature and pressure. So therefore this can be written down as integral P equals to 0 to that particular state P, R by P minus del V del T at constant P into dP. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody who has
Yes, ma'am.
any doubts regarding finding out delta H star and delta S star? Anybody? So once you have found out delta S star and delta H star, that is the residual molar enthalpy and the residual molar entropy, now you can find out anything. For example, if I tell you to find out delta G star, what is this? G minus G0. What is G minus, what is G? It is H minus Ts. What is G0? H0 minus Ts0. So therefore, what is this? H minus H0 minus T of S minus H0. In other words, delta H star minus T delta S star. Right? In the same way, if I tell you to find out delta U star, right? For delta U star, what do you do? For delta U star, in the same way, delta U star equals to U minus U0. What is U? You tell me. H minus PV. What is U0? H0 minus PV0. So therefore this becomes delta H star minus P delta V star. So in this way you take up any extensive property for the corresponding molar property, or for the corresponding residual molar property, you can find it out. You can find in this particular way, you can find out all residual total properties just by multiplying this with the number of moles, and you are in a position to find out all residual molar properties. Right? So therefore, you are in a position to find everything, provided your starting point is delta H star and delta S star. Now, for finding out delta H star and delta S star, so this is the path that we had selected. Whenever you have to go from any particular state to any other particular state, say the states being defined with T1 P1 and T2 P2. So what you simply do, you take the real gas, convert it to the ideal gas at that particular state. Remember one thing, these states are fictitious state, because at high pressures T1, P1 and P2, both of them are much above the atmospheric pressure, or much above P equals to 0. So under these states, the ideal gas states do not exist. So this particular conversion and these three states, they are actually, they are fictitious states, but they are not real states. The only two real states is the real gas at T1 P1 and the real gas at T2 P2. In between, the conversion that you have done, they are through fictitious state, but it hardly matters, because finally the path does not matter. You will select a path as per your convenience. Only thing that you have to keep in mind, that you start from the actual real state, you end in the actual real state. In between, what you do, whether you are compressing, you are expanding, whether you are heating, whether you are cooling, whatever you are doing does not matter. If in practice you are doing, then you have to go through all sorts of real state. If you are computing something, then definitely you can adopt fictitious states, if that helps in your calculations. So basically, just to enable calculations, just because, as one of you have rightly pointed out, that the properties are well known under the ideal gas state, and therefore property changes can be easily calculated in the ideal gas states. Therefore, for everything that we have to do with gases, we would always try to resort to whatever we know for ideal gases. So therefore, if you have to compute any property change when a real gas is taken from some state to some other state, we always prefer to convert this real gas to the ideal gas state at those particular states, compute the change of property for the ideal gas state, and along with that, we simply add and subtract the residual properties at the initial state and the final state. We can do this for any particular property change that we wish to calculate. Well, now the next question which you would have is, can we do it only for a only for a gas, or can we adopt this particular concept for liquids and solids as well? Now, this particular concept, this in reality, that can be adopted for any particular state. But when you try to adopt it for the case of a liquid or solid, for example, suppose instead of a real gas, you would like to go to, say, from a liquid at T1 P1 to, say, a liquid at T2 P2. Then from there, if you would like to convert this liquid to the ideal gas state in that particular case, and then you want to change the ideal gas, and again you want to convert the ideal gas to the liquid, then remember, converting the ideal gas to the liquid will also involve the latent heat of vaporization. Now when it involves the latent heat of vaporization, under that particular condition, what happens, the enthalpy change is much higher as compared to the departure functions. Now when the departure functions are much less compared to the actual enthalpy changes, then introducing these departure functions does not help. As a result, we use the concept of departure functions only for calculating the properties of real gases and real gas mixtures. We do not use them for computing the property changes for liquids and solids. Is this particular part clear to you? And
Yes, ma'am.
this, yeah, and this particular concept, this first shows that why ideal gas equation is so very important. It is not just that we know all the properties. Firstly, it is based on kinetic theory of gases. Therefore, we can actually compute whatever changes, property changes for whatever properties we wish in the ideal gas state. But more importantly, it provides a convenient base for calculation of real gas properties. It has immensely simplified the process of calculating properties of the real gases, because we make all the property changes in the ideal gas state, and we simply add and subtract from the property changes that we have computed the residual functions at the initial condition and the residual function at the final state, right? So that has made our situation immensely easy. The only thing now we have to do is to find out how to compute the residual functions, the residual enthalpy, the residual entropy, how to calculate this for each particular temperature and pressure. Now, if you look at the expression of the residual entropy, and even if you look at the expression of residual enthalpy, we find that these particular properties, they are nothing, they are simply dependent upon the PVT behavior of the gases. So therefore, if we know the PVT behavior of the gases, then very easily we can find out the residual enthalpy and the residual entropy. There is only just one particular concern. If we have to find out the residual enthalpy and the residual entropy from the PVT behavior of the gases. Say, for example, the PVT behavior means either the gas is going to obey the cubic equation of state. The simplest cubic equation of state is what? What is the simplest cubic equation of state that you know? You have been knowing it, I think, right from your class 7, 8. Come on. What is the simplest real gas equation that you know?
Van der Waal.
Is that you know what a cubic equation of state is?
No, ma'am.
Oh, that is the problem. A cubic equation of state is one where the volume is given as a cubic. If you open up Van der Waals equation, you get V cube. As a result of which, whenever you try to solve it, you must have done it earlier. Whenever you try to solve it, then in that case, you get 3 particular roots of V, right? In the gas state, you find that there is one physically realizable root. The other roots are either imaginarily or they are non-feasible. When you say non-feasible means that the roots, they are either less than B, or they are negative, or they are imaginary, right? And if you are dealing with a liquid vapor system, then you will find that the lower root corresponds to the liquid like volume and the higher root corresponds to the vapor like volume. Therefore, all these equations of state, the Van der Waals equation of state, the Redlich-Kwong equation, you must have come across these equations, isn't it? The Peng-Robinson equation of state, and then there are SRK and blah blah everything. These are known as the cubic equation of state. So for the time being, the Van der Waals equation, which is very well known to you, again, I'm writing it in terms of molar properties just for my convenience. Now, from this equation, you find that normally we usually express it in terms of P equals to something. So therefore, from here, it's very easy for us to find out del P del V at constant T, or del P del T at constant V. Finding out these things are comparatively easier. Anywhere, any doubts, anything, please stop me and ask me, right? But on the other hand, if you would have to find out del V del T at constant P, or del V del P at constant T, finding out these things is not very straightforward. Now, if you look at the equation of your residual properties, what was this? This was equal to V minus T del V del T at constant P dP, starting from P equals to 0 to P. There is one thing which I'll tell you, the part of thermodynamics which I'm going to deal. This is not difficult, but this is completely new to you. I think you have not come across these things earlier. Were you taught anything regarding ideal solutions, mixtures, anything in your first years or any time? Yes, please.
Not in the first year, but a little bit in JEE Advanced we have
And
studied.
was what have you Raoult's law you had studied in JEE Advanced, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any
Yes, ma'am.
but regarding residual properties, fugacity, chemical potential, these things have
No, ma'am.
chemical potential also you did not come across in JEE Advanced?
No, ma'am.
One request I have. The first thing is that whenever you are doing these things, please do not jump any steps. Point one. Point two is whenever you are computing anything, be sure that you are aware of the lower and the upper limits. Okay, do not jump steps. And the other thing is, please be very careful about the notation that you're using for properties. This I am repeatedly telling you because we'll be coming across a large set of different properties. You till now you have come across specific properties, molar properties, total properties. Are there any other set of properties that you have come across? Any other set of properties other than total properties, molar properties, and specific properties? I talk of extensive properties only. Shayon Maiti,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. So have you come across any other set of properties other than the total properties, molar properties, and specific properties?
I guess not, ma'am.
So therefore, remember one thing, specific properties, normally we will not be dealing, but for total properties, it is always capital. Molar properties, it is always small. Specific properties, in case we deal, it will be M bar, but this part we will not be dealing much. Please remember that you are using these particular notations, right? So therefore, with this, we know delta S star equals to this, and this is equals to P equals to 0 to P. What is this equals to? This is equal to R by P minus del V del T at constant P dP. Right. So therefore, we find that we can always find out these things by different particular ways. One particular way is to use the equation of state. Now, when I talk of the equation of state, there are two types of equation of state which you have done. One is the cubic equation of state, other is the virial equation of state. Anywhere when you have not done something, you just tell them that tell me that madam we have not done, I want you to repeat. Whenever we are talking about the cubic equation of state, this refers to the Van der Waals, Peng Robinson, Redlich Kwong, etc. etc. Virial equation of state you already know, right? Virial equation of state also you can write it down in a pressure explicit form and a volume explicit form. But normally when we deal with real gases, we either deal with cubic equations and virial equations, and these equations mostly they have the form which has been shown. So therefore it will be when we are trying to compute properties and we're trying to make our lives easier. And remember one thing, all these things we are developing them so that they can be used in a software, and they can the property changes can be estimated. Definitely we are not teaching you these things so that you can use your calculators. For using calculators, you can always convert this, but if you have to use them in a program, in a simulator, and find out the property changes, then the more straightforward things are, the easier it is. So we find that for both cubic and virial equation of state, instead of this v's, if we could have replaced them with p as a function of v and t, then our life would have been simpler, and it would have been easier for us to compute them from the different programs, etc. Right? So for that, what we can do, we can simply convert this into the pressure explicit form. For example, what we can do in this particular case, suppose we have delta H star, this is nothing but equals to P equals to 0 to P. I write once more because minus again P equals to 0 to P T del V del T at constant P dP. Right? Now, what do we know? We know dPV is nothing but equals to PdV plus VdP. So instead of this particular VdP, you can please see I am doing all the derivations so that you can follow up with me and you can also keep on doing the derivations. And then later when you are following this up, it is going to be easier for you. Right. So for this particular case, you can simply substitute it with this. Right. And for this particular case, we have that cyclic relationship. What is the cyclic relationship? You must have come across this several times while you were dealing with Maxwell's equations and finding out properties. Cyclic relation is simply del P del T at constant V, del T del V at constant P, del V del P at constant T equals to -1. So therefore, what is del V del T at at constant P? From here we can get del V del T at constant P. It is nothing but minus of del P del T at constant V del V del P at constant T. Or in other words, we can also write it down as del V del T at constant P into dP, this whole thing at a constant T, minus del P del T at constant V into dV, this whole thing at a constant T. Tell me if you have any problems in whatever I have written down. So therefore, to find out delta H star, you can simply replace this with this equation. For finding out this, you can simply replace this with this equation, and then you get it in a form which is going to be little more favorable for you. So therefore, from this particular equation, then what do you get? From this particular equation, we get delta H star. Then if we substitute it, this is simply, I keep the limits and then I change it later on. So this is simply equals to, what will this, instead of VdP, what can you write down? Tell me.
dPV minus PdV.
Again the same voice. Can I know your name, please?
Ma'am, Sneh Bandhu Singh.
Hey, Bandhu Singh, good. But I would be very happy if your friends also start asking and interacting. And instead of this particular equation, I can substitute it. So this becomes plus del P del T at constant V dV integral P equals to 0 to P. Now you tell me one thing. I need to change the limits, isn't it? When I've changed the variable, the limits has to change. Can you tell me what will be the limits for this particular part? At P equals to 0, what happens to PV?
PV becomes 0.
At P equals to 0, P equals to 0, it is, what does it signify?
Ideal, ideal gas.
Very good. So P equals to 0 signifies ideal gas. So at P equals to 0, at ideal gas condition, what is PV equal to?
nRT.
Again, N. We are dealing with molar
R
properties.
Yeah,
R.
yes, ma'am. RT.
So therefore, this becomes RT to PV, dPV, right? In this particular case, at P equals to 0, it is simply the ideal gas volume, right? To the volume of the real gas, PdV, plus this one, V0 to V. In several books, you will find this written as V infinity. For me, whenever I'm dealing with ideal gas state, everything will be shown by a superscript 0, right? So therefore, I use it as V0. dV, perfect. So therefore, instead of the equation that I had got here, instead of this particular equation that I got here in this particular case, I can also write it down as this becomes PV minus RT. Let me see, I'll have to see and do it. Plus integral V0 to V. Tell me if I'm making some mistakes, because I'm also seeing and deriving. There's every chance that I can make a mistake. dV. This is equal to delta H star. So this, I believe, will make your life simpler in case we would like to deal with cubic and even the virial equation of state, which is written in the pressure explicit form. So you can use this and you can find it out, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing you can do for delta S star as well. Same thing for delta S star as well, you can do it. What was the expression for delta S star, you tell me? This was equal to,
Ma'am,
please.
ma'am, will there be a T term in the third term in H star?
I've made a mistake, huh? Yes. Wait. Where did I make the mistake? Let me see. Yeah, I think there should be a T term. I missed it out. Yeah, very sorry. So therefore, there should be a T term here. This is where I missed it out, isn't it? Now is it all right? Now is this all right? I had made a mistake here. Is this all right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So I had made a mistake here also. I had made a mistake here also. It's all right now, isn't it? Yeah, fine. Point out any mistakes. It's very good. That means you are also on the go and you are also following what I'm doing. I'm extremely happy. So therefore, this particular case, I'm deriving it just because it's very boring for you to do alone and do it. Just for that part, I'm trying to do it so that you can follow it up. And once you have done it, then the thing becomes very easy. And anywhere, if it is not visible also, or something is not audible, definitely make sure to stop me and tell me. So therefore, for delta S star also in the same way we can do it. So this becomes R dP by P minus integral P equals to 0 to P. Fine. So this dP by D we have to replace. Again the same thing, your dPV equals to PdV plus VdP. Divide this by PV, divide this by PV, divide this by PV. What do you get under that particular situation? You get dPV by PV is equals to, this is dV by V plus dP by P. So therefore, instead of this dP by P, you can simply write it down as dPV by PV minus dV by V, whole thing with the R in the front, integral P equals to 0 to P. And for this del V del T, this you can very well replace. This is not difficult. This you can replace with integral del P del T at constant V dV. Right. This I had already derived. This I had, where is the cyclic relationship I had written down? Here I think, yeah, this is from this cyclic relationship. Yeah, from this relationship you can always replace this and you can do it. Fine. So therefore from here, what do you get? So therefore from here you get delta S star. Just check up if I've done a mistake. Again, for this particular case, when you're replacing it, what is going for P equals to 0? Again, in this particular case, the limit will be from RT to PV, right? So therefore, this is going to be dPV by PV. Again, from here, the limits in terms of R, it is going to be V0 to V dV by V. Again, from here, the limits are going to be V0 to V del P del T at constant V dV. So from there, finally, you get delta S star equals to R ln PV by RT plus integral V0 to V. You get del P del T at constant V minus R by V dV. This whole thing was at a constant T. So therefore, if you have the cubic equation of state, then in that case, you can find it out. Now my next question. See, whenever you try to find out any particular property, there's one thing that you have understood, that in thermodynamics, not only in thermodynamics, in the entire of chemical engineering, you will find that we always resort to those particular routes or those particular paths where the properties are known. So therefore, in order to even to find out delta H star and delta S star, we would always resort to whatever properties are available. In fact, the concepts of these two came up just because the properties are well known in the ideal gas state, and it is easier to compute changes in properties in the ideal gas state. So therefore, we found that finding these two out from equation of state is possible. Now, suppose I give you some particular, to find the property change of some particular gas whose equation of state is not very well known. I cannot tell you that which particular cubic equation of state it obeys, or even if it obeys van der Waals, what is the A and B of the equation, I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you the exact constants of the virial equation of state, but I can tell you, well, there is a gas whose equation of state is not very well known, but that particular gas, I would like to take it from T1 P1 to T2 P2, and I would like to know that how much amount of heat I have to, how much amount of heat that I have to give to that particular gas, so that accordingly I can design a heat exchanger for it. What do you do under that condition? Are you stuck up? See, engineers are supposed to be very smart. So therefore, they are supposed to find out some other way to find out the change of enthalpy or the amount of heat that has to be applied to the gas, even if the equation of state is not given. Can you suggest? Again, I write down the equation. Just can you suggest, if even if the equation of state is not given, if you can find out the change of enthalpy or the change of entropy, or in fact, if you know these two, you can find out the change of Gibbs free energy, etc., for this particular gas. Can you do this if the equation of state is not given? Yes, please.
There should be a way, but
There should be a way. Come on, you know, when you was
the pressure zero, we can like in the fifth question we had done. Can we do something similar to that?
Wait. Whatever you have done in the fifth question, from there only I have developed the concept of residual properties. Now we know that the residual properties, delta H star or delta S star, whatever you do it, you can find it out from the PVT behavior. If the PVT behavior is not given, then in that case, is there any other way by which you can find it out? Is there any other way to estimate the property of gases other than the PVT behavior? Have you come across something like the compressibility factor chart?
Yes, ma'am.
What is compressibility factor? Can you tell me?
nRT by PV.
That is, yeah, that means it is the volume of occupied by the real gas to the volume occupied by the ideal gas, isn't it? And
Yes,
you
ma'am.
must have come across the compressibility factor chart, which shows you Z as a function of TR with PR as parameter. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
compressibility factor charts. So therefore, if you can convert this equation to a form of Z, and then if you can express it, you know the initial T and P, you know the final T and P. It's true that I do not know to what this particular equation, this particular gas conforms to, but if it is a real gas, then it must be having the critical constants PCTC, right? For any gas, measuring PCTC is not difficult. So once PCTC can be measured, you can find out PR1 at state 1, you can find PR2 at state 2, and you can find out TR, and you can also find out TR1, and you can find out TR2. And once you know TR1, PR1, you can find out the Z here. If you know this and this, you can find out the Z here. These are the graphs. You can locate the exact PR. The first PR, you can locate the second PR, find out the condition at TR1, condition at TR2. From there, you can find out Z. Now, once you know Z, then if you have expressed it in terms of Z, then you should be in a position to find out delta H star. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So therefore, can you tell me how to write this down in the form of Z? How to write this down in the form of Z? If you see, sorry. If you see the, I've derived it. Wait, delta H star. Yeah. If you see this particular derivation, so from here, can I not write this down as delta H star? What is PV minus RT? This part is nothing but R into Z minus 1. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. And then, so therefore, sorry, RT into Z minus 1, isn't it? RT into Z minus 1 plus this, but I'll use the black one, plus this particular equation where we have from V0 to V. Okay, so this particular equation we can very well convert it to, we can write it down as del P del T at constant Vt minus P dV. Okay, so from this particular equation also, you know T1, you know P1, and you know the ideal gas value. So from here you can find this out. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
This you should be able to do, isn't it? And therefore, in the same way, find out what is delta S star equal to. Something like this, you will get R ln Z plus whatever I had written down earlier. In this particular case, you should be able to get this. So from here, you should be able to get this. But there is something much more interesting to this. See, if you look at the equation carefully, the equation that you have found out, delta H star, this is the equation that I had written it down. P equals to 0 to P, V minus T del V del T at constant P dP. Right. So this particular equation, can you, if you are converting it entirely to Z, wait, yeah, if you're converting it entirely to Z, then in that case, just try it out and tell me what is the equation that you are getting. If you're converting it to, so what is V equals to? V equals to ZRT by P. right? Now what is del V del T at constant P equals to? You are supposed to differentiate this term at constant P. R and P, they do not depend on T. So therefore it will be R by P del Z del T at constant P, this plus Z R by P. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Perfect. So therefore, now if you substitute this here, then in that case, what do you get? This is going to be ZRT by P, integral P equals to 0 to P. This is going to be minus T. So therefore, del V del T at constant P, if you are substituting it, you are getting RT by P del Z del T at P plus ZR by P. Integral P equals to 0 to P, we have a dP here. Perfect. We have a dP here. Right?
Sorry
So
to
there,
interrupt, ma'am.
yes,
Ma'am, this
please.
is Pranita.
Huh.
Ma'am, are we asking students to use the raise hand feature for attendance?
Yeah. Oh, acha, acha. Yeah, the while they're listening, they can just keep on raise the hand. I did not stop the class for it,
Okay.
isn't it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you use students. You every class you are going to do this. You simply raise your hand at the middle of the class so that the attendance can be taken up. Okay, this will be done practiced for all the classes. Right. And one more thing also I like to tell you students, there'll be some classes which most of the classes which I'll be taking in person, some classes where the video recording of the lectures will be played to you, right? When you are playing the video, and the videos will also be uploaded after the class, so that at your convenience you can go through the videos. What I suggest is while listening to the record, there'll be some recorded lectures where there is not much to explain or something. For those recorded lectures, what I suggest is that you listen to them, you upload all your questions, the TAs will collect the questions, and then I'll sit with you one day and sort out or solve and discuss all the questions, and then we will be having one particular assessment test on that. Right. So from next Wednesday, I think it's your break, isn't it? Your mid-sem break.
Yes,
Am
ma'am.
I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So therefore, from next Thursday, next Friday, and the Wednesday after that, these three classes, there'll be recorded lectures. You are supposed to enter into the teams, raise your hand, listen to the lectures, and then the lectures will be uploaded. After every class, wherever it is, you simply start posting your questions. The Thursday after that, that is on 11th. On 11th, I'll sort out all your doubts, and after that we'll have. And one more thing is, the assessment, as you know, is going to be continuous. There can be some surprise tests of 10, 5, 15 minutes in between, or else there'll be some one or two major your assessments, right? So in this particular way we are going to proceed in the class. So every day you simply log in and raise your hand, the attendance will be taken. And for the recorded lectures, you simply note down all your doubts. You can post your doubts, or else when I come to the interaction class, we can discuss these particular doubts. Once you are happy with that all the doubts are solved, we will be giving you assignments and then assessments to see how well you have understood the classes. Well, so now to continue with this, so therefore we have got this. So therefore, yeah, please.
Ma'am, that will be plus ZR by P into TP.
Which one?
That integral.
Sorry. I have done it correctly now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. So therefore, delta H star, then in that case, what does it become? You tell me. You just do it and tell me. Then in that case, what are you getting in this particular case? Is it something like P equals to 0 to P? Just see if I'm doing it correctly, del z del t at constant p, right? Then minus, what should I get in this particular case? In this particular case, it should be this and this cancels out, isn't it? So therefore, this is the thing which I get for delta H star. Is it fine with all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you tell
Yes,
me one
ma'am.
thing. Suppose I write this down in terms of minus integral, say I write down in terms of reduced properties. So therefore, instead of P, it becomes PR equals to 0 to some particular PR, where this PR is nothing but equal to P by PC. Here then, that case, what do I get? R. Instead of T square, I get TR square TC square. Here I get PR PC. And then I get del Z del TR TC. I get DPR PC. Yes or no? So therefore PC cancels out, TC1 TC cancels out, and then what do I get? I get delta H star equals to minus R. TR is constant because the whole thing has been, no, sorry, TC is constant. So minus RTC, PR equals to 0 to PR. You get TR square del Z del TR at constant PR DPR. Yes or by PR.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
look at this equation very carefully. Suppose I write it down as delta H star by RTC. Okay, what do you get? PR equals to 0 to PR, TR square, del Z del TR at constant PR, DPR by PR. Right? Now you tell me in this particular equation that I have written down, this particular right hand side, it is just a function of Z, TR and PR. Does it contain anything regarding the constants for any particular gas or something?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So therefore, from here, what does it appear? It appears that for any particular gas which obeys the, which obeys the law of corresponding states, or in the other words, any gas for which Z is a function of TR and PR, does it not imply that delta H star by RTC, this should also be a function of TR and PR? Or in other words, what I mean to say, for all gases at the same TR/PR, they should have the same Z. As a result, they should have the same value of this property. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
therefore, for all particular gases which obey the law of corresponding states, they should have the same value of reduced residual enthalpy. This is known as this particular term, it is known as the reduced departure function, or the reduced. Yes, please.
Would you use a darker color to write the same?
Yeah, I was also thinking, but what is the darker color? Wait, let me try. This is also bad. In the next class, I'll try to see. I think the pen is it is becoming very light. That's what I was also observing. So this is, I don't think this is better, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am, it's the same. I
It's the
guess
same. Wait. Let me see if something is better. Hey, this is worse. Wait, let me see if I have to give a little more pressure. So therefore, reduced residual molar enthalpy, is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Yes.
Yes.
So therefore, this reduced residual molar enthalpy, this should also conform to the law of corresponding states, which in other words, it means that just like you have Z as a function of TR and PR, in the same way you should be having your, can you, is this one evident? The axis, is it delta H star or is it delta S star? So therefore, can you see the y-axis? Is the y-axis visible to you?
No, ma'am.
Exactly.
Ma'am,
That is
it's
for,
the
wait. But the problem is, wait, can I increase it further? This is Z as a function of TRPR, right? This was Z and the other thing was Z1. Fine. So this is Z. In the same way, yes, this is for,
excuse me,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
it
Ma'am,
is
we are
please,
visible.
just able to see your desktop screen. Like,
you're not able to see this?
no, ma'am. Ma'am, we are not able to see any. I mean, we are not able to see what you're trying to show us.
Oh, ho, ho. Wait. Give me 2 minutes. 1 minute. Now you can see something, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Achha. Now you can see the slides,
Yes, ma'am.
but the axis, they are not very clear. When it will be uploaded, then you can see. Here we have plotted H minus H0 by RTC, right? As a function of PR with TR as parameter. So therefore, what I mean to say is that this has been plotted for H0, this has been plotted for H1. Just like we have for Z0 and Z1. Right. So therefore, instead of going about this tortuous path, definitely this is not going to be something very accurate, because Z as a function of TR and PR is also not very accurate. So this will also not be very accurate. But if you do not know the equation of state for the gas, then in that case, you can very well refer to these particular plots and you can find out delta H star by RTC as a function of PR and TR. And for any other gas, if they have the same PR and TR, they will have the same value of delta H star by RTC. This particular parameter, it is known as the reduced molar departure function or the reduced molar residual property. Now there is a for all residual properties there is a corresponding reduced molar property, and for all those reduced molar properties you can have graphs of this sort. Just like we have this for your enthalpy. Can you tell me what will be the corresponding reduced molar residual entropy function? Any idea, anybody? If you can start from the basics, then in that case you should be in a position to find it out. Can anybody suggest what will be the corresponding reduced molar entropy function? Yes. If you just look at the at the entropy delta S star. What is this equals to? I'll take up a little more shortcut way. Just what is this? This is basically del S del P at constant T dP integral P equals to 0 to T. Now from the Maxwell's equation P V T S, you know del S del P at constant T is nothing but del V del T at constant P, isn't it? So therefore this can be written down as minus del V del T at constant P dP P equals to 0 to P, right? So therefore from this particular equation, wait, or from the expression of reduced molar entropy that I had got. Where did I get it? Wait. Yeah, from this particular equation also, if you can write it down in terms of reduced properties, then in that case, instead of this particular R by P, in this particular R by P, you simply replace this particular P with PRPC. Simply replace this particular V with ZRT by P. Then this del V del T at constant P, what does it become? It becomes R by P, RT by P, del Z del T by constant P, plus it becomes ZR by P. Yes or no? And
Yes, ma'am.
again, in the same way, just like you have replaced it with PRPC, here also this T can be replaced with TRTC. This P can be replaced with PRPC. This T will be replaced with TRTC. This will become PR. This is going to become PRPC. Do it very, very carefully and tell me what is the final expression that you are getting. Just the way the substitutions I have told you, simply replace everything and tell me what is the expression that you are getting. Had it been a physical class, I would have requested one of you to come to the board. Can you tell me what is the expression that we are getting? Do not be in a hurry, just try to replace for the way I have told you and then try to do it. Simply substitute. Do not be in a hurry. From the next class onwards, I would request you, I think you are doing it for all classes. Anyhow, I'll request you, sit with your notebook, pen, everything, and your calculator as well. In every class, please be prepared with everything before the class starts. Point number 1. Start deriving the way I am deriving. Even for recorded lectures, it's the same thing, just I'll not be there, but my photograph will be there. Okay. These recorded lectures are primarily because I have to travel to Delhi for these few days on some particular important official work. But you go through the recorded lectures same way that you're attending this particular class, in the same particular way. The TAs will be available. You can ask or post your doubts just after the class. Moment you're going through the class, just note the places where you did not understand. If required, you go through these particular recorded lectures again and again. Post all the doubts. On Thursday, as I've told you, Thursday is the 11th. I'll sit and I'll be sorting out all your doubts. Possibly next Thursday I'll take a class for half an hour, because today I have discussed the residual property, the residual properties and the departure functions for pure gases. There is a little amount of discussion left for mixtures, so that I'll be completing, and then the classes are going to commence. So therefore, could you find out what is going to be the expression for delta S star?
We should divide it by R into TC.
Perfect. And then what are you going to get? It is PR equals to 0 to PR. Just check up if you are getting this or not. Z minus 1 plus TR del Z del TR at constant PR. This whole thing TPR by PR. See, this is the expression that you are supposed to get. So therefore, from here, what do you know? If Z is a function of TR and PR, then this part also should conform to the delta S star by R as a function of PR with TR as parameter. So therefore, the reduced molar departure function for entropy is delta S star by R. In the same way, so therefore, just the way I have shown you, in the same way, the charts are available for delta S star by R, and the same way charts are available for finding out all reduced molar properties. See, I'll just tell you one thing. The whole thing started because we did not know the value of Cp. Okay, so it is quite evident that finding out Cp for a real gas in terms of ideal gas is quite important. Or in other words, Cp minus Cp0 is something very important. Okay, so I would just, which is nothing but equal to delta Cp star. So therefore, your assignment from this class is that just the way we have defined the residue, or rather we have expressed residual entropy and residual enthalpy in terms of equations to find out these properties from your cubic equations of state. So therefore, I would like you to derive delta H star and delta S star for a van der Waals equation of state, right? So therefore, it's pretty simple. Once you know this particular equation, from there you can find it out from van der Waals equation of state. So find out delta H star and delta S star from van der Waals equation of state. You are simply supposed to express the equation in the pressure explicit, means you are going to just use the equation in terms of your P equals to so and so, and you can find it out. Your next assignment for today is that just like we have evaluated delta S star, we have found out that delta SH star, it is actually becoming very, I don't know, there's some focus problem which I need to find out. There is some problem, that's why it is happening like this. So I need to figure it out. So therefore, just like delta, I'll write it down here. Wait, I think this is going to be better. Yeah. So just like we have found out, there was some problem. Delta H square by RTC. This is the reduced molar residual enthalpy. We have also found out delta S star by R, which is the reduced molar residual entropy. Same way, delta Cp star, something will come out. I want you to find out the expression of reduced specific heat capacity. And then I'll show you that just like we have got graphs and charts for say, delta H star by RTC as a function of PR with TR as parameter, delta S star by R. Similar way, we have delta C something that you're supposed to find out. We do have graphs of this sort as well. Okay, and same way you can find out the residual molar Gibbs free energy, the residual molar, all other properties corresponding to any extensive property that you know of. Right? So therefore, this is your third assignment, to find out the expression of the reduced delta Cp star and to express it in terms of just the way we have expressed delta H star by RTC and delta S star by R. There is just one thing which I would like to mention. All these things were told to you for a pure gas. If instead of a pure gas we have to use a mixtures, then in that case we have to resort to some particular mixing and combining rules in order to express these particular components of the mixtures in terms of the corresponding properties for pure gases and the composition. There are some standard mixing rules for that, and we just discussed those particular mixing rules, from where you can know how to find out the residual properties for real gases and real gas mixtures. This is the conventional way of finding out or estimating the properties of gases and gaseous mixtures. So I think we end up here and we continue in the next class. The assignments are already given. The TAs may note the assignments have to be uploaded by next Wednesday. Maybe today, tomorrow you can upload. They are very simple assignments. And then from next Thursday, we meet again and we continue in this particular way. There may be one or two extra classes that I may have to take. I learned that you have a free period from Wednesday 11 to 12, isn't it? Students?
Actually, ma'am, there's test going on right now, like for the other class.
Oh. Acha. But afterwards, if from 11 to 12 you are free on Wednesday? On Wednesdays 11 to 12 you are free, isn't it? If required, then in that case I may have to take a few of those classes. So it's fine for today. Thank you very much. I would request all of you to leave. The TAs may kindly stay back, please. Except the TAs, all of you can leave.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any doubts, anything, just feel free to post it here. The TAs, please be on the line. The others, please leave. Well, the TAs, you can switch on your videos now. We can have just a short meeting of what to do for the next classes. The persons who haven't logged out, I believe were they there in the class, or I don't know what they did. Yeah, Alex, when you had called, my class had already started. I cannot hear you. You are muted.
Hello.
Hello. The persons, yeah, Pranita, and Venkat Krishna. Just note, I think they were not there in the Abhishek Kumar.
Okay, ma'am.
Those persons, just note, I do not know whether they were in the class or not. Acha, now Abhishek Kumar, Venkat Krishna, Pranita, just note.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think they were there in the class. Now only TAs are there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Acha. Now you tell me that, see, there are certain things which I would like to know from you. The first thing is that since online classes, I cannot see anybody, or I cannot interact in that way. Any point if you think that the class is getting a bit boring, or maybe you have some other suggestions for conducting the class, I would welcome those suggestions from you. You do not think that madam will get angry if you tell her anything, because suggestions are always welcome. Our final intention is that the students understand and the class is more or less interesting. Right. So therefore, if you have any suggestions regarding conducting the class, you are most free to share it with me. Any suggestions from any of you?
Ma'am, today's class was fine. Means
Huh.
it was much more interactive and all.
Huh. No,
Means
Arey,
it was a
you are
two-way
a
process.
veteran. So from you, I don't want. I know you have been giving me lot of valuable suggestions for such a long time. See, most of the classes will be like this. Okay. The problem is that this next Thursday, Friday, and the Wednesday after that, these 3 days I'm not available. That is where the whole problem starts. Okay. So these classes the TAs have to manage. Okay, and one more thing, what I've decided, I think Thursday I'll get about 15 to 20 minutes before I start for Delhi. So I'll just cover the mixture part here. Okay, so the mixture part is also covered, and then you can continue. Acha, two things. One is Pranita and Pallavi. You will be sending the what to say, the assignments on your real gas and gas mixtures. See, they'll be pretty straightforward assignments. Okay, on Thursday maybe I'll take about 15 20 minutes. I'll complete the mixing rules. Is it fine with Pranita and Pallavi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Pranita,
Yes, ma'am.
I cannot hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear
Perfect.
me?
Yeah, but very faintly. Acha, next class, what I suggest is, Pranita, you simply run the video in this particular way. In the meantime, they'll raise their hand and the video will go on. Right? For this will continue for next Thursday, Friday, and the Wednesday after. Well, now I would like to tell you that there was some mistake in which Alex did. First thing is, on 3rd, we don't have a class. We have a class on 4th. I've corrected this. Okay. So on 4th, what I do, I initially cover the mixture part. So therefore, Alex, the thing which you have kept on 11th, good amount of this thing I'll be covering on 4th itself. Right. And after that, there'll be one particular class on this chemical potential thing. Right?
Yeah.
Fine. On 5th, you have 2 hours. On that day, just note down, Alex. 4th, there'll be 1 half-an-hour class because I'll be covering mixtures there. Okay. After that, the concept of chemical potential, blah, blah, the first lecture will be run. Pranita, you all of you note. Why only Pranita and Alex? Okay. Then on 5th, the second lecture will run, and then this heterogeneous closed systems, that all is going to run. 4 lectures will run on 5th, Alex. Okay.
Ma'am, which one? The heterogeneous and
Wait.
chemical potential.
Wait. On 4th, first lecture will run this concept of chemical potential, all those things. Okay.
Yeah.
The second lecture from 4th. Okay. The other lecture which you have scheduled for 4th, this lecture, and these 2 lectures, I think all these will run on 5th. Okay. 4th 30 minutes lecture. 4th 30 minutes lecture. I don't know. Here there are 2 just things. You have just given 2 videos here. They are half-an-hour videos, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then in that
for third there are 2 videos, right?
No, wait. 3rd, I am going to 3rd. There is no class actually.
Yeah.
Okay. 3rd, there is no class. So therefore, 4th, you have got the first class. Okay. 4th, first half an hour I will take. Second half an hour, this first lecture on concept of chemical potential, that is going to run. Only a 30 minutes lecture is going to run. Acha, then on 5th you have got 4 half an hour. Okay, so therefore 1
Yeah,
this will
yeah.
run. The lecture on 4th
Yeah.
that will also run on 5th. There are 2 lectures on
Yeah.
5th, I find those 2 will also run. So whatever is
Okay.
there on 5th, on 4th, everything will run on 5th. Is it clear to Pranita?
Yeah.
30 minutes 4 lectures on 5th and 30 minutes 1 lecture on 4th after I leave the class.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Acha. Then you come to the 10th. 10th, whatever is there, it is perfect. Okay. This tutorial problem link will not be run, Alex. Okay, we'll run it later. Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore,
Yeah. No, actually, I was thinking to send them personally via mail.
no,
If they want,
don't,
they can watch.
no. Please don't do anything of that sort. Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore, I repeat, on 4th, I'll take half an hour. The remaining half an hour, 1 lecture will run. You can see whatever I'm pointing out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Acha. On 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these 4 lectures will run.
Yeah.
Okay. On 10th, whatever you have given, these lectures will run. Perfect.
Yeah.
10th is all right. 11th, see, mixing rules I'm already completing. So therefore, 11th, I'll take the interaction class. And
Okay.
these lectures will not run. These I'll take in. I'll already take them on 4th. Okay. So 11th, you delete
Yeah.
everything and write down interaction class, tutorial problems, whatever we
Yeah.
wish, we are going to do it.
Yeah.
And then on 12th, I'll take my own class.
Okay.
Okay. So therefore, I repeat,
Yeah.
4th, 1 half an hour class, which you have kept for 3rd. That will go for 4th.
Yeah.
Okay. On 5th,
Yeah.
whatever classes you have kept for 4th and 5th, everything will be running. There's a 2-hour class. Okay. So
Yeah.
half an hour. Pranita, after the first half an hour, you can take the attendance. Next half an hour, you can give 2-3 minutes break if they want to take some, put some doubts, go and have water. And then again, the next 2 lectures you are going to run. All of you be there. Alex need not be there so that you can handle the class well. Okay. 10th, I am here, but I'll be busy with some particular work in IIT Madras. So 10th, whatever lecture is there, that will be run. 11th, I will take the class. Till 10th, you have to manage. 11th, I'll take the class and I'll sort out everything. And in the meantime, today, tomorrow, you send me all the assignments on real gases and real gas mixtures. Right? I'll look at all those things. I'll post the assignments on 4th. Right? After I have discussed mixing rules, I'll post them on 4th. Then everything goes on. On 11th, I'll come and take the class. And then from 12th, I'll again be taking maybe some things. These things, maybe one class I'll tell you to upload. Otherwise, I'll be continuing as it is. Is this okay for all of you? Is this clear for all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So
Ma'am,
Pranita and Pallavi, just please.
Ma'am, so for now we have to send the assignment which you had asked us for
Be
like
very
on the
honest.
residual properties.
Yeah, one thing.
That we have to send it.
Wait. Just one thing I am asking you, that this particular assignment will be on gases as well as gas mixtures. So therefore,
Okay.
when can both of you send me the assignments? I'll just go through it once. The problems will be typed. Whatever working you did not show everything, just a few steps and the answers. I'll just see that it is correct. These assignments will be on gases and gas mixtures. I'm going to send it, or rather it will be posted by you only on 4th itself. Okay, after I complete
Okay.
mixture. Okay, so when
Okay.
can you send me the assignment so that I can just scan through them? Both of you combine and send it to you. You tell me when you can send it to me.
Okay. But today also, are we supposed to send that the assignment on residual properties that we were supposed to send by today, right?
that you send to me, I just give a yes, and then you can post it. But it's, you can post it
Okay.
today, or else we can post it on 4th and ask the, or else we can post it today itself. No problem. Today, tomorrow, I'll just post it with a yes, and then we can post it. So Pranita and Pallavi, then can you send me the assignment?
Yes, ma'am.
So today, anytime you send it to me, tomorrow morning I'll see, and I'll just mark a yes to both of you. Then you can post the assignments, and you can fix up a date. Say 1 week. Usually Alex gives that within 1 week you please do the assignments, and in the meantime, maybe whatever assignments you give, there only I'm going to tell you. I'm going to announce that you, maybe you have given it for ethane. I'll tell them to do it for ethane butane mixture, etc. One or two things I'll tell, and that is done for residual properties. Is it fine?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes,
So Pallavi and Pranita, today, anytime you send me the assignments, tomorrow morning I'll send a okay to you. And once you get the okay, you simply post the assignments. When I take a class next Thursday, I'll there itself I'll give 1 or 2 assignments on mixtures. You need not do anything on that. Then they will submit all the assignments, maybe say next Monday or Sunday, whenever you have fixed up the time, and you are going to manage these classes the next Thursday half, Friday full, Wednesday full. Thursday again I come and start my classes. Is it all right for all of you?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And Alex, regarding the assignments, etc., let us see if I can get some time, we'll do it, or else we are going to post it. See, posting and seeing, actually, it's not very good. Other than that, if I can tell them to work, and if they can respond, I think it's better. Okay, that's why I want to keep the assignments on hold. Last semester I was sick, so you had to manage much more. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is done. So thank you all. We expect to go on like this, and anytime, any suggestions, anything that you have regarding conduct of classes or anything. Okay, Alex has been giving me a lot of suggestions. It was helpful for me. I would expect very honest suggestions from you. It's not that, madam, it was interesting or good. I want some critical suggestions so that accordingly we can develop. Anyhow, online classes are boring. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
then thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.